Ben10, alien transformations dominate the universe. Episode 31. The caresses of the night blew through the street, and a few fallen leaves rose with the wind, reflecting the vision of Lin Tian and Hela. Located at the junction of Queens's slums, this street is not as safe as the rich district, and at night, it almost becomes a paradise for criminals. Although there is a mysterious man who wears a mask and climbs the wall everywhere to fight righteously, security has been greatly improved. But at every moment, there are countless shady transactions going on this street. The reason why Lin Tian set the house here is also very simple: it is inconspicuous, and Wanda also has a certain self-preservation ability. Wanda is here, he is still relatively relieved. So quiet, Hela said softly, looking at the empty but brightly lit street. Lin Tian also reached this point: this street is too quiet. Are you afraid that a ghost will suddenly pop up on the side of the road and scare you? Lin Tian turned his head to look at Hela, and joked with a smile. Hela shook her head seriously, her eyes full of sincerity. I'm afraid you will be hurt. Lin Tian rubbed her head. Let's go. Afterwards, the two headed to a small 3-story building on the side of the road. Knock knock. In the silent night, the crisp knock on the door is particularly clear. Behind the door, a redhead happened to pass by the living room, and after hearing the knock on the door, he subconsciously tensed his spirit, and his walking pace was much lighter. After hesitating for a moment, Wanda put down the water cup in her hand, walked to the door, and placed her vigilant pupils on the position of the cat's eyes. When Lin Tian's familiar appearance appeared in Wanda's pupils, Wanda's vigilance was swept away, and the door was opened in surprise. Lin Tian, you're finally back. The door was opened, and Wanda threw herself into Lin Tian's arms, and her two small hands hugged him tightly. In the moment he threw himself into Lin Tian's arms, all the defenses in Wanda's heart instantly collapsed, and a warm current flowed in his heart, and an unprecedented sense of steadiness appeared. Faced with this heartwarming scene, Hela clasped her shoulders with her hands, wrinkled her nose slightly, and felt a little sour. After briefly appeasing Wanda, Lin Tian was about to take Hela into the door when a glare suddenly lit up behind him. In the gray environment, the shadows of the three were pulled for a long time. The rapid rotation of the helicopter propellers overshadowed the chirping of all the nocturnal animals around them. You have been surrounded. Advise you to kneel on the ground and hold your heads in your hands. There is still a glimmer of life in giving up resistance. Immediately afterwards, there was an official voice from above. Looking up, 3 gunships did not know when they appeared above the 3 people. The moment he saw the gunship, Hela's pretty face went cold, and he took a step and blocked Lin Tian. There were 2 sniper rifles aimed at Lin Tian's chest and eyebrows. In the face of all this, Wanda is also frightened. She has been hiding here in peace during this time, and with the advantage of food preparation, she has never gone out. She still hasn't understood how these people found her. Of course, it is clear that she underestimated the capabilities above. And in the distance, several heavily armed armies are ready to rush here. I said, get on your knees, and put your hands where I can see. Otherwise we will shoot. The voice from the helicopter sounded again. Find death. Hela, the goddess of death, heard someone ordering her to kneel for the first time, and for a while, anger appeared on her face. With a wave of her hand, nearly 10 daggers shot out from the palm of her hand. Snap. 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 The sharp dagger easily pierced the helicopter surface. The gunship didn't have time to dodge, and the wing was shot and sparks appeared. Without the balance of the wings, the helicopter instantly lost control, rotated twice in the air, and fell to the ground. Humph, mortals who don't measure themselves. After seeing the gunship hit the ground and exploded, Hela sneered and put away her palms and sneered. Lin Tian did not stop him when he saw this scene. Since these people who came unkind wanted to set him up, then there was no need for him to be kind and let them go. In the distance, a red figure flashed from the air, rushed into the helicopter crash, and found that several people in the helicopter had already jumped off the plane and were not in danger of life. Iron Man's palm and foot once again ejected an energy body, holding him up in the air again. Listen to my orders. Get ready to shoot. The commander of the other helicopter saw that Hela had destroyed one of their fighters as soon as he came up. His face sank, he clenched the walkie-talkie, and gritted his teeth. Hey Harry boys, good evening, have you had a late night snack? If you haven't eaten, why not skip class and eat a delicious cheeseburger? Just after the commander confirmed that the red dot of the sniper rifle had fallen on the vital part of Hela and Wanda, he was about to give the order to shoot, when a magnetic voice suddenly sounded in his ears. The distance is very close. As soon as the commander turned his head, he saw a red and yellow steel helmet appear in front of him. Before he could be surprised, he saw Iron Man throw a small box that he didn't recognize in the control room. This small black box with big nails was like a magnet, instantly absorbed on the dashboard, and then the gunship lost control and flew away. Another gunship tried to dodge, but it was also difficult to escape Iron Man's high-speed flight, and after the small box was thrown out, the pilot also lost control of the plane and flew into the distance. And the army that came suddenly was about to enter this street, and suddenly was blocked by one luxury car after another. The vast majority of luxury cars are driverless, but the driver's seat of the luxury car led by Tony is Tony's assistant, Harpy. "Big night, do you want a cigarette to refresh yourself?" Harpy stepped out of the luxury car, took out a cigarette case from his chest pocket, squeezed out one, and smiled at the officer at the head. The army on the other side of the street was also blocked by the luxury car team, but this time it was led by Little Pepper. After driving away the two gunships, Iron Man landed steadily in front of Lin Feng and the three. "Hey listen, I know you shouldn't say some useless nonsense in this situation. But I still want to ask, why are you here?" Tony opened the Iron Man helmet, revealing that unabated face, looked at Lin Tian, and spread his hands to reveal an incomprehensible expression. Episode 32. Although Tony did not know the specific path of Lin Tian, he detected that the Kuan fighter broke through the atmosphere and disappeared on Earth. At that time, Tony guessed that Lin Tian had something to do to leave the Earth. He disappeared for a whole month, and a lot happened on Earth this month. If Lin Tian had come back earlier or later, then such a thing would not have happened today, but at the critical juncture of the Civil War, he returned. At this moment, most countries in the world have paid attention to the matter of superheroes, and in this muzzle joint, Lin Tian, a guy with a strong strength similar to a mutant, appeared. Now that the negotiation period has passed, his appearance in this way will undoubtedly attract the attention of some national forces, and may even trigger some unnecessary and large-scale wars. After all, what Lin Tian did in the Ultron incident, he still remembered vividly. This guy is definitely a disobedient master. "Come with me now, if you are willing to sign the agreement, I guarantee that you will be safe and sound. Don't cause war, civilians can't afford it anymore." Tony turned his head nervously and looked to both sides of the road. Harpy and Pepper were already a little overwhelmed, and the armies on both sides were obviously impatient, and even had the intention of forcibly breaking through. Isn't it okay to use war to conduct a baptism and kill those who don't need to exist? It's just killing someone, what's so difficult? Hela sneered, and after speaking, he looked at the army on the other end of the road. The two soldiers forcibly controlled Happy and pushed the luxury car away together, and suddenly, the well-trained army trotted towards Lin Tian. Harpy was pinned against the door of the car by two soldiers, turned his head and shook his head at Tony, indicating that he had done his best. And the opposite street, which was also broken through by the army, rushed quickly. The whistling of propellers was also heard again in the sky, the sound was getting louder and louder, and another armed plane flew over. For a time, several people from Lin Tian formed an encirclement. "Tony, give you 3 seconds to leave, or you might become the first superhero to die at my hands." The armies on both sides set up a formation, and at the same time set up their guns and aimed at Lin Tian and the three. And the commander at the head took out a pistol from his waist, raised its muzzle, and aimed it at Tony. They were sent here by order of the United Nations, and their equipment and weapons have been refined and greatly improved. A bullet can easily shatter a person's head. Of course, they also know that a bullet can't fatally damage the steel helmet or the Wanda. One can't work, what about 10? What about 100, 1,000, 10,000? Today, they came with a goal to kill. "Sorry, you mean, are you going to kill me?" When Tony heard the commander's words, he turned to look at the commander and pointed at himself with 2 fingers, a little surprised. "Oh, I promise, if you really want to kill me, your mother and your sister will definitely not be happy. If you don't have a sister, or if you don't have a mother, I'll take it back." Tony shrugged and quipped, and couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at the commander. To be fair, Tony doesn't like the above agreement, he's way by nature, unruly, and a rebellious playboy. But when he learned that they had smashed a building on a volunteer child, the mother's grief and resentment, he was shaken. Tony and they are just agreeing to a partnership, and for Tony, no one can order him to do what he doesn't want to do. If someone orders, then he will definitely return with color. It doesn't matter if you're a superhero or a head of state. You fucking bitches, go to hell. Hearing Tony's words, the commander's eyes turned red, his breathing became rapid, and he aimed at the back of Tony's head, and his trembling hand pulled the trigger fiercely. Long live Hydra. No one noticed what he said on his lips after the commander opened fire. The roaring gunfire flooded the street. "I think we should still hide." At the moment of gunfire, Tony put on a steel helmet to protect his head. Turning his head to look at Lin Tian, Tony was about to give a warm reminder, but found that Lin Tian's 3 disappeared. "I lean on, what about people?" Tony didn't hold back and burst into foul language. speak for them here yourself, attract hatred. Now that the fight is up, turn your head and see that they are gone? Left himself here. Co-authored, am I redundant? But at this time, Tony didn't have time to think about it, the power was driven to the maximum, and it soared into the sky. After flying into the sky, Tony originally thought that he had dodged these bullets, and was about to relax, but found that these nearly 1,000 bullets suddenly turned and rose and chased him. These bullets have automatic tracking. If I survive, I should also have this bullet, so that it will be much easier to shoot Steve. The mouth cannon feature seems to be integrated into Tony's blood, and at this critical moment, he does not forget to spit a few words. A red figure in the sky flew rapidly, followed by densely packed and flame-breathing bullets. This scene, if viewed at night, it really has a bit of dynamic beauty. Before Wanda and Hela could react, they appeared on the roof in the distance. You two aren't hurt, are you? Lin Tian's transformed Flash Star looked at the two women and asked. Just now, for the safety of the two women, he still transformed into a Flash Star and sent the two women out. The two women shook their heads with red faces almost at the same time, because Lin Tian was holding a person in one hand, and the dishonest hand was placed in a dishonest position. It's okay. After Lin Tian put down the two, he turned to look at the location of the street where he was just now. What are you going to do? Hela found that Lin Tian had the intention to continue to act, and said curiously. Kill a few people and come back. As soon as the words fell, a blue light rushed vertically from the roof to the ground. Lin Tian, go and kill. And at the edge of Queens, a car is driving at great speed, and it is Hawkeye who is driving. In the car are Steve Ant-Man people. On the other side, Black Widow galloped off the street on her motorcycle. With the help of physical strength and armor performance far beyond ordinary people, Black Panther runs and follows behind. Above him, Vision kept searching his surroundings. In another small room, a teenager heard gunshots and hurried out of bed. It seems that New York City's good neighbors can't get a good night's sleep tonight. Oh my god, what about Mr. Tony's suit for me? Episode 33, Mutants and Superheroes Are Damned. The commander saw Lin Tian's disappearance, and Iron Man was also forced to flee, put away his pistol, and sneered proudly. The Hydra they belonged to was once destroyed by Steve, who had taken the super soldier serum. So when the superhero management instructions were issued above, the Hydra who infiltrated the National Assembly immediately ordered him, once there is a chance, to eliminate all superheroes and mutants as much as possible. Obviously, he has made Wanda, which currently looks weak, his primary target. Originally, after finding Wanda's location, he wanted to use it to fish, preferably to lure out Steve. But he didn't expect that a teenager he had never seen and a woman with a cold temperament suddenly appeared. The moment he saw Iron Man appear, he was murderous and directly chose to shoot, ready to shoot several people. As it turned out now, he won. At the very least, Iron Man is dead. Nearly 1,000 improved tracking bullets, he just has the ability to reach the sky, and it is difficult to escape death. The commander narrowed his eyes and looked at the end of the road, then turned his head to look at the other end of the road, and sighed with some regret. For the two caught fish, Harpy and Pepper, he still wants to solve them together. After all, this can severely damage the Stark group and will be of good help to their future development. Huh? Just as the commander moved his gaze back from the other end of the street behind him, Yu Guang inadvertently swept a figure. Turning his head again, Lin Tian, who looked like a teenager, stood there with a smile. Do you dare to come back and find death? The commander raised his pistol again and smiled proudly. I can beat you son of a bitch into a sieve in an instant. Looking at the pistol in his hand, the commander's smile was a little gloomy and a little rampant. In the army he brought, they had basically been converted to the Hydra organization, and now as long as he gave an order, as he said, Lin Tian would be beaten into a sieve. No, he will be like a red snake, blurred with blood and flesh in the strafing of bullets, turning into a puddle of mud. You can try. After Lin Tian smiled, he took a step and walked towards the commander. Lin Tian's confident look made a sense of foreboding rise in the commander's heart. Shoot, kill him. The night is long and dreamy, which is the truth that this commander has understood best until now. Without thinking too much, the commander directly ordered to shoot Lin Tian. At the sound of an order, the expressions of the team in front of the commander and the team behind him changed, and the sound of bullets loading filled the entire street. Bang bang. The next moment, bullets poured out like a rainstorm. At this time, do not say that a human body, even a tank, will be beaten into scrap iron under such fire. Several armed helicopters in the sky used the machine guns under the nose and aimed at Lin Tian Ho, and the roar of gunfire sounded. For a time, the entire street was like a fishing net flapping open, densely packed with bullets. Lin Tian still smiled unabated in the face of this situation. Although tens of millions of people, I will go. At the moment when the bullet was about to touch Lin Tian stepped forward. Suddenly, an overwhelming heat wave emanated from Lin Tian's body, directly blocking the bullet's forward trajectory. The bullet seemed to be stationary, stuck in midair. The powerful power makes it move forward, but the violent heat wave directly cancels its powerful power, and it can't move forward at all. The bullet reached the explosion conditions at extremely high temperature and exploded directly one after another. Seeing that the heat wave blocked the advance of the bullet, the commander's face changed, and he was relieved to hear the bullet explode. Even if you can't hit him, a bullet can kill him, right? The commander guessed with trepidation. But the next moment, reality slapped him hard. The heat wave that pounced directly wrapped the exploded bullets, and the bullets exploded one after another, without affecting Lin Tian at all. With a slight smile, another step was taken. Boom! Lin Tian's body took a step forward, and suddenly the bodies of the commander's subordinates around him suddenly burned, and in just one breath, they directly turned into ashes. To kill, you must be prepared to be killed. These people did not hear Lin Tian's advice before they died. Immediately afterwards, Lin Tian's steps did not stop. Every time he took a step, several corpses fell, and they did not have time to scream, and they directly turned into ashes. This scene looks like the god of death in the abyss walking out and stepping towards the throne step by step. Now Lin Tian, he can use the ability of the flame man without transforming. Nope. No. No, no. Looking like mowing grass, his army was being quickly harvested, the commander's face was pale, bloodless, and his legs were soft, and he sat on the ground with his butt. The hand holding the gun was shaking violently. Now he has lost the courage to hold a gun. This guy. It's laughing and killing. Episode 34. I swear, if you dare to run after me with these gadgets, you will definitely make you never experience the joy of being a man for the rest of your life. It didn't take long for Tony to fly back in a brand new helmet. The bullets that could track did follow, and he had to summon other suits, and it took several golden cicadas to shed their shells before flying back. What's the situation? Tony just flew over the street and found that the entire army had disappeared out of thin air. Looking closer, there were many weapons left on the ground, but not a single user was seen. Nope. No, please, let me go. Lin Tian pinched the commander's neck with one hand, grabbed him like a chicken, and grabbed him. His feet were dangling, he had difficulty breathing, his face was pale, the commander was slurred, and muttering that outsiders could not hear what he was saying. Under the trend of survival desire, the commander's two hands used all their strength to hit Lin Tian's arm. 9. Head snake, poof. After knowing that he had no possibility of survival, the commander was about to shout out the phrase "Long live the Hydra," and the high temperature of the red flame emitted by Lin Tian's palm directly wrapped him. But in one breath, the commander screamed, and before he could shout slogans to swallow poison and commit suicide, he was burned into dust by the fire. Tony in midair saw a teenager reach out and grab the commander and kill him with flames. He blinked quickly and swallowed silently. Doesn't it take to transform into a torch to use the flame ability? Why can I use the flame ability without using my transformation now? Tony made waves inside him, and a question emerged from within him, getting bigger and bigger. Lin Tian went to outer space, what did he do? Maybe Tony never dreamed that on the planet Asgard, Lin Tian would almost try to destroy Thanos, who was half of the living beings in the universe. Hey listen, I'm absolutely malicious. I just wanted to talk to you. Seeing that Lin Tian turned around and was about to leave again, Tony hurriedly controlled the battle armor to fall in front of Lin Tian, and raised his hands in the position of his earlobe, blocking Lin Tian's way. In order to show sincerity, the moment he landed, Tony lifted the protection of his helmet, and his exposed face was full of seriousness. As Nick said before, he is not willing to throw a nuclear bomb everywhere. According to Tony's current understanding, this guy ruined a continent easily. Even if the Avengers come, they may not be able to stop him. Bang! With a muffled sound, Tony reached out with one hand, grabbed the UFO that was rushing towards him, and reflexively put on his helmet. Hey brother, long time no see, how are you doing? Turning around, Hawkeye held a bow in one hand and an arrow in the other, greeting Tony warmly. However, the experienced Hawkeye suppressed the bow and arrow in order to avoid losing control on the spot, and the bowstring was not completely opened. You brought an unpleasant old guy over. Tony narrowed his eyes and looked at Steve next to Hawkeye. Steve was wearing his uniform, but his hands were empty. From the time he fought Winter Soldier and Iron Man to protect him, the relationship between the two broke down, and he also returned the vibranium shield to Tony. Listen, I'm sorry for that, but Bucky's mind was already under control at the time, and he didn't know what he was doing. Feeling a cold light hit him, Team America hurriedly opened his hands and signaled Tony to calm down. This time, for safety reasons, he did not bring Bucky with a broken arm. Tony's characteristic is a mouth cannon, while the American team's characteristic is that he loves to be reasonable and admit death. Tony behind the mask shook his head with a calm face. Now he didn't want to talk to Team America. I don't know if I should interrupt you both. The dialogue between the enemy, but I think Mr. Stark, we haven't seen each other for so long. Do you want to introduce ourselves to each other to connect with feelings or something? Ant-Man broke the deadlock and spoke. You know his name is Stark, what else does he introduce himself? Hawkeye smiled and shook his head. Oh yes, I remember Stark's name. Ant-Man clapped his hands and suddenly realized. Well, but maybe he forgets more things and doesn't remember me, and it doesn't hurt to make more introductions. How do you say it? Rely on your parents at home, go out and cut your brothers? In the face of Tony's disregard, Ant-Man did not feel embarrassed at all, and continued to speak well. Marvel has 5 big mouth cannons: Star-Lord, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Deadpool. If you pull any of the 5 of them out, they can say a 5-hour stand-up comedy. Hey, look, a gathering of old friends who have been lost for a long time. Black Widow parked the motorcycle behind Iron Man, looked at Captain America Hawkeye in front of her, and smiled. Steve, Barton, long time no see. Vision in the air also took the initiative to greet Steve Hawkeye. Joe, a figure passed through the tall buildings and landed steadily on a small low building next to the street. It was Spider-Man, Pete Parker. Mr. Stark, good evening. Oh. Barton, good evening too. Oh my god, Steve. I'm a fan of you. Parker squatted on the roof, his feet on point, and asked everyone questions one by one, enthusiastic as fire. When Lin Tian saw this scene, he couldn't help but laugh. Marvel's 5 big mouth cannons, to 3. In stark contrast to Parker, the Panther stood quietly by the side, silently. Behind Iron Man stood Black Widow, Spider-Man, Ultron, and behind the opposite American team stood Falcon, Ant-Man, Hawkeye. A cool breeze blew by, and suddenly there was a strong smell of gunpowder in the air. These two groups of people are very likely to fight. Episode 35. How do I think the atmosphere is a bit weird? It's like the feeling of humans facing a mechanical octopus in the Matrix. Oh, of course, I'm not saying that Mr. Stark or Mr. Steve is a big octopus, I'm just saying that the atmosphere is kind of like that atmosphere in the movie. Looking at the tense atmosphere in front of him, Peter Parker used a certain movie to describe it. But soon, before everyone could recover, Peter Parker realized the loophole in his words and hurriedly explained. Okay, little one, you can go home and sleep, it's none of your business here. Tony reluctantly held out a hand and interrupted him, signaling that Parker could shut up. Even Tony, had a headache when he heard Parker's Gatling-like little mouth. Ant-Man raised his eyebrows and smiled, stretched out his finger to Spider-Man, and his tone was a little excited. Isn't it the one who can drill the wall? That's the one. Okay. Steve also smiled helplessly and hurriedly interrupted the conversation between the two. After all, with the lessons of the past, if Ant-Man and Spider-Man keep complaining, they can talk all day. Lin Tian smiled and was ready to turn and leave. He came here to kill the commander who wanted to kill him, and now that his purpose has been achieved, there is no need for him to stay. If the Avengers are going to fight, maybe he will find a vantage point to watch a wave of realistic Captain America 3. Buzz. Suddenly, Lin Tian turned around and just stepped out. The little stupid watch suddenly emitted a warm current, looked down, the little stupid watch popped out on the surface at some point. A black and white figure appears on the screen. Lin Tian looked at the silhouette of the figure in the cloak, and then looked at the Vision in midair, and a smile was drawn at the corner of his mouth. A psychic gem on Vision's head must be the key to activating an alien. Moreover, Lin Tian guessed that the mind gem should be the activation clue of the little shock soldier with high intelligence. Lin Tian stretched out his palm and pressed back the surface that popped out, and then turned around and looked at the Stark people, or at Ultron in midair. Dude, let me guess, you don't want to deal with us new blood with this 70-year-old living fossil, right? Stark saw Lin Tian staring at him, and he had some bad premonitions in his heart. In addition to the illumination of street lamps on the street at night, there is another dazzling yellow light source. The mind gem sensed Lin Tian's malice and opened up self-protection. It seems that it can't control this gem, it seems to be saying something to me. Vision in midair reached out and touched the shining mind gem, revealing a confused expression. Keep me away from Lin Tian. Vision vaguely sensed something, and suddenly, his pupils trembled, and his gaze slammed on Lin Tian's body, with endless fear. Let me guess, he must be joking. Stark was also a little apprehensive, and although he said it lightly, he still looked at Lin Tian, who was smiling and looked harmless to humans and animals. What is the identity of this Oriental teenager? Why can it still make the mind gem fear? Mr. Stark, I can't control it. Vision suddenly shouted, and then the light of the mind gem on his forehead became more and more dazzling. When the light intensity reaches a height, a laser shot out from the mind gem. The target was Lin Tian, who was staring at Vision with a smile. Heavy rains are really a disaster for the countryside. Episode 36. It's over. After the last battle of Ultron, Iron Man and several people have a certain understanding of Lin Tian's strength. Now Vision's active attack will undoubtedly arouse Lin Tian's fighting intent. At that time, the battle will definitely affect everyone present. However, if Vision can really solve Lin Tian, who is both evil and righteous, maybe it will be much easier in the future. Stark had a somewhat evil thought in his heart. Vision easily lifted Mjolnir's existence, and his laser ray attack power was unimaginable. That is the power of the mind gem, and this is the active defensive attack of the mind gem, and the power is naturally far greater than the power under the control of Vision before. Even if Lin Tian used his flame ability, he might not be able to take it. Boom. Under everyone's nervous gaze, the laser did not touch Lin Tian, and was blocked by a green diamond shield. Huh? Everyone fixed their eyes on it. A familiar figure appeared in the field of vision, and the Diamond God of War appeared. The Diamond God of War turned into a shield with one hand and blocked in front of him. With the protection of the diamond shield, the rays of the mind gem could not advance even a bit. During the confrontation that lasted for tens of seconds, the diamond shield remained unscathed. Lin Tian didn't take a step back. When everyone saw the scene, they couldn't interfere. Steve without a shield went up to find death, and Tony's armor could not block the rays of the Berserk mind gem at present. The Panther was still watching, and he didn't have much confidence in his heart in the face of the Vision's rays. At a certain frequency, his armor is also forced to disintegrate. And this ray is constantly adjusting its frequency, trying to destroy the shield of the Diamond God of War, but it is clear that it has failed. In other words, everyone present had no confidence to block the mind gem ray, and Lin Tian easily blocked it. Ugh. Vision raised his head with difficulty and removed the ray. And those houses that were unfortunately swept away during the move were directly split in two and collapsed in an instant. Losing the threat of laser rays, the Diamond God of War put away his shield and rushed towards Vision. Stop him. Almost subconsciously, Tony shouted. After that, the powerful push made the steel warframe move and flew towards the Diamond God of War. He didn't know why he would give this order, but he knew that if Lin Tian was allowed to come into contact with Vision, something bad would definitely happen. That would make Lin Tian continue to become stronger. It may even threaten the safety of Vision. He wasn't sure about removing the mind gem from Ultron's forehead, but he didn't have the slightest doubt that Lin Tian could now. Almost as soon as Stark's order was given, the Panther pounced quickly and powerfully. His vibranium armor, but his best protection, an alien covered in green diamonds, does not necessarily cause him harm. Sting. The Panther's fingers and claws slashed out, and a grab slid from the chest of the Diamond God of War to his waist. His claws are also made of vibranium. Vibranium is known as one of the strongest metals in the world. Not only the defense is even terrifying, but the lethality is just as terrifying. After a claw was drawn, the Panther subconsciously looked up at the body of the Diamond God of War, trying to find the scars he had left on him. But that green body is as complete as ever. His armor is not weaker than his own? The Black Panther's pupils trembled, and he was surprised in his heart. Bang! Before the Panther could be surprised, two red fists slammed into his head. The strong fist force penetrated the vibranium armor and slammed firmly on the head of the Panther. The strength is so great that it directly makes the Panther's body lose control and fly out upside down. Before Tony could react, a blue figure rushed in front of him. Flash Star. Or rather, a Flash Star in the last second. The moment he arrived in front of Iron Man, the Flash Star turned into an electromagnetic macho. This is the new alien that Lin Tian unlocked by absorbing the power of thunder in Asgard. Tony's eyes widened, and he was about to attack, when he saw the electromagnetic macho reach out and lightly press his hand against the chest of the steel armor. Poof. When Tony was wondering what Lin Tian wanted to do, the arc reactor in his chest suddenly received a strong current disturbance and temporarily short-circuited. The next moment, the Diamond War God's arm turned into a spear and pierced into the arc reaction furnace, and the sharp spear slowly rotated. The arc reactor line was cut off on a large scale, and the lights went out. The energy provided by the arc reactor was cut off, and Tony was limp, his face turned pale, and he knelt down with a pop, supporting his hands on the ground so as not to let him fall. Lin Tian did not cut off all the lines of the arc reactor, but this little energy transmission was only enough to maintain the vitality of Tony's body, and he couldn't afford the huge energy consumption of steel armor. "Mr. Stark, hold on, I'm here to save you." Spider-Man saw Tony's life hanging by a thread and showed a worried look. Two strands of spider silk spit on the street behind Lin Tian, pulling the spider silk tightly, like a bow and arrow coming out of the string. Spider-Man used the stretching nature of spider silk to shoot himself out. With his legs together, with the help of impact, Spider-Man's 2 feet kicked at Lin Tian's transformed diamond god of war. However, before Spider-Man's feet touched Lin Tian, his body was surrounded by a burst of thunder and lightning. Even the body that has been improved by the spider gene has been damaged in this violent thunderbolt, and there are electric lights shuttling in his muscles. Like a kite with a broken line, Spider-Man's body loses his balance and falls to the ground. It all seemed like a long time, but it was only a few seconds. In just a few seconds, Lin Tian used his skillful state switching to overturn several major forces of the Avengers. As an ordinary person, Hawkeye Black Widow even had time to react, and Spider-Man had already fallen in front of him. Damn it! Black Widow glanced at Spider-Man, walked out quickly, raised her hands, raised the high-tech electric shock weapon on her wrist, aimed it at Lin Tian, and launched it. However, in the face of this painless attack, Lin Tian didn't look at it, and the electromagnetic Macho Man bent his legs, jumped with the force, and flew towards the illusion that was still roaring violently in midair. In midair, the electromagnetic Macho turned into a shapeshifter and pounced into Vision's body. Episode 37. When the shapeshifter pounced on Vision's body, the illusion in midair seemed to have been captured by a handful of souls. Looking up at the sky, his eyes were blank, his expression was dull, his hands naturally drooped, and he was stunned in midair motionless, completely losing the ability to think. And the hallucination's body has also undergone obvious changes. The yellow skin gradually turns black, and one after another, black stripes appear on the surface of the skin. This scene looks like a Vision blackening. "Vision! How are you?" Black Widow looked at Vision, worriedly shouted. He wouldn't have controlled Vision with that mud monster-like thing, would he? Hawkeye swallowed, his face pale, and guessed. They knew that Lin Tian's shapeshifters could control Kuan-style fighters and even steel armor, but they didn't expect that this guy could even control Vision. Vision in midair slowly lowered his head, and after looking down at everyone, his eyes were on his hands. "So this is the power of the mind gem," Lin Tian muttered as he looked at his hands. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his heart had become extremely calm, his eyes were much clearer, and there was constantly a force swimming within him or Vision. "I suggest you better hurry down now, don't stain Vision's clothes, if they do, we can only send him to the dry cleaner." Tony, who was crawling on the ground, raised his head to look at Lin Tian, revealing a painful expression. At this moment, Tony's neck was bruised, and the steel armor that had lost its power support was completely a pile of steel pressing on him. His mortal body, trying to stand up, is still extremely difficult. "Okay." After Lin Tian's controlled Vision smiled, he broke away from the Vision. The shapeshifter withdrew from the Vision, and the Vision's body quickly returned to normal. After taking a few deep breaths with difficulty, Vision felt his heartbeat again. Huh? As soon as Vision took a few breaths, he felt that his body was much weaker. Subconsciously reached out and touched his forehead, and after touching an empty groove, the hallucination palm trembled violently like an electric shock. What about the mind gem? Vision's eyes widened, and he was puzzled inside. Reaching out and groping back and forth a few times, Vision did not feel the existence of the mind gem. Looking down, the shapeshifter that resembles a soft mud monster has an extra yellow gem on its head. Exactly the mind gem. He snatched the mind gem? Everyone also noticed this change, and their eyes brushed on Lin Tian, and their hearts set off in uproar. The reason why this guy wants to touch Vision is because of the mind gem on top of his head? Phew! A burst of blue light flashed, and the body of the shapeshifter shrank several times, revealing the appearance of the young Lin Tian. Reaching out to hold the slightly hot soul gem in his hand, Lin Tian showed a smile. Then, he raised his hand that held the mind gem and smashed it towards the little stupid watch. What is he doing? Several people in the American team were confused after seeing it. After he snatched the mind gem, he was just to use the mind gem to smash a watch. Could it be that this kid's head is not normal? But the next moment, a dazzling blue light erupted from Lin Tian's body. Blue light intensity has never been greater. Blue light covers the entire street and reaches the sky. Immediately afterwards, the surprised crowd saw that Lin Tian's body was constantly fading. Four-Handed Overlord, Diamond God of War, Flame Man, Electromagnetic Macho. In the blink of an eye, Lin Tian transformed all the aliens he owned. However, every alien who appeared this time not only has the symbol of the alien stupid watch on his chest, but also has a mind gem on his forehead. He combines the mind gem with his superpowers. In just a few moments, the genius scientist Tony discovered Lin Tian's changes. What? After coming to this conclusion, Tony squinted his eyes at Lin Tian, who was still emitting dazzling light in front of him. Cold sweat continued behind his back, and his pupils were filled with fear. Lin Tian's original ability to be almost perverted and invincible is enough to defy most superheroes and supercriminals in the world. Now, he has combined the abilities of the mind gem again. In this way, it has been multiplied, and now Lin Tian's strength has reached an unimaginable level. Finally, the light gradually dissipated. Everyone narrowed their eyes to see what changes had taken place after Lin Tian combined the mind gem. When they saw the small body in front of them with nervous or curious eyes, everyone's eyes widened again. There is nothing evil or reminder of the huge aliens. Yes, just an alien with a blue slap. Highly intelligent little soldier. Episode 38. It turns out that this is how it feels to transform into a little soldier. The little soldier looked up at the huge figure of everyone in front of him, and a sense of freshness was born. When transforming into a battle hero known for his strength and destructive power such as the Four-Handed Overlord, it is completely different from these two feelings. Little Shock is known for his high intelligence, although he has no combat effectiveness, but his brain is very useful. Now he glanced at the steel armor, and he could vaguely see how this armor was made. This little guy is quite cute. Now seeing Lin Tian's miniature new state, basically no one regarded him as a dangerous element anymore. Even after seeing it as a level 10 agent, Black Widow even had some meaning of maternal love. After all, not having children is her lifelong regret. And the Vision, which was still suspended in midair, stared at the slightly glowing mind gem on the little soldier's forehead. It is strange to say that the mind gem has given Vision the terrifying power and even life, but now that he has lost the mind gem, he has no discomfort in his body. It just feels like the power has been weakened somewhat. The spiritual gem set on the forehead of the little shock soldier inadvertently added a bit of mystery to the little surprise soldier. Team America and Hawkeye looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. They came not only to protect Wanda, but also to inflame the conflict. The contradiction was intensified by Lin Tian, and it was said that they should stop Lin Tian. But now seeing Lin Tian like this, they will not be able to get off for a while. This feels smaller, super inferior. After simply raising his hand and moving, Lin Tian Kai adapted to the form of the little soldier. Now he is changed to a certain extent with his tone of speech or voice. After feeling the existence of the mind gem on his forehead, the little soldier stretched out a hand and was about to touch and feel the mystery of the mind gem, but before the little hand touched the mind gem, a green flame suddenly appeared. This is the ability of the Flame Man? The little soldier retracted his small hand and put it in front of him, looking at the palm that was still burning with flames, and fell into surprise. Mind gem fused with an alien shapeshifter? Irritated by the little bun watch, with the blessing of the mind gem, the little soldier can be called an IQ explosion, and in just a few seconds, he guessed why he would use the abilities of two aliens at the same time. With a happy face, the little soldier's body was elevated and he returned to Lin Tian's human appearance. Raise your hand and look at it, the originally black and green little stupid watch suddenly has a little more golden light. Even the wristband feels a little heavier. Mind gems and alien watches. Lin Tian shook his head and laughed with some disbelief. He originally wanted to use the IQ and super high technology of the little soldier to crack the little stupid watch, allowing him to unlock the ability to use two aliens at the same time. But unexpectedly, by chance, the mind gem helped him complete this task. What is this guy giggling? Ant-Man pointed at Lin Tian and looked at Steve, revealing a black question mark face. Steve also shrugged, and they didn't understand what happened when this Lin Tian suddenly became smaller and suddenly changed back. In their opinion, the green flame emitted by the palm of the little soldier just now was just an ability of the little soldier. Hearing Ant-Man's voice, Lin Tian turned his head to look at Ant-Man, and his pupils suddenly lit up. This guy may be able to unlock the supergiant himself. Episode 39. Why do you look at me like that? I can be younger, but I don't engage in homosexuality. For some reason, Ant-Man was looked at like this by Lin Tian, and his heart was a little hairy. Lin Tian kept looking at Ant-Man. It stands to reason that after Ant-Man becomes bigger, it is likely to become the activation clue of the supergiant. But the two were close at hand, but the transformation table was indifferent and did not release the activation clue of the supergiant. Is it Ant-Man or the human state, not getting bigger? Lin Tian guessed. After all, in addition to Ant-Man, looking at the entire Marvel, he really can't find a clue that can activate the supergiant. When everyone saw Lin Tian's eyes, they seemed to return to the scene where Lin Tian was watching Vision a few minutes ago, silently tensing their muscles and spirits, and preparing for battle. For a while, the situation froze again. Oh, go home and sleep. The situation was tightly frozen for less than 10 seconds, and it ended with Lin Tian's impatient shaking of his head. Put your hands in your pockets, take a step, and turn away. Looking at Lin Tian's departing back, Stark's face sank, and several black lines appeared on his forehead. This Lin Tian, who controlled the battle armor with a pool of soft mud last time, made him lose control. This time, he easily destroyed his battle armor with a guy wrapped in green diamonds, and the frustration of these 2 times undoubtedly damaged the confidence of this genius. Maybe I can design an anti-Lin Tian armor. Or let this armor light, damn it, I should have mastered nanotechnology earlier. Tony cursed inwardly. Hey guys, can anyone help me remove this iron guy from me? Or let me call Friday and ask her to send a new armor? After several fruitless attempts to stand up, Tony turned to Ultron and asked for help. As soon as Tony's words fell, his body suddenly lightened, and the heaviness from his whole body disappeared instantly. Looking down, his body actually floated. Hello, Tony. A magnetic voice suddenly sounded, and looking at the source of the sound, a short-haired man wearing a blue Daoist robe and a red cape appeared in front of him. Is it Halloween today? Why do so many strange people appear? Looking at Doctor Strange floating in the air in front of him, Tony had the urge to scold his mother. When did there be so many humans on Earth who could not be called human beings? Hello, Doctor Strange. Vision controlled his body to fall in front of Doctor Strange and said calmly. Apparently, fusing Jarvis's huge database, Vision recognized Doctor Strange's identity. After glancing at the empty slot on Vision's forehead, Doctor Strange spoke, I just felt the arrival of the God of War, but when I came over, this feeling disappeared. God of War? Steve on the ground frowned when he heard this, obviously full of strangeness and puzzlement about the name. Yes, he is a teenager, he should be Oriental. Doctor Strange turned and landed firmly on the ground, looking at Steve and nodding. Junior? Oriental? Steve froze. What he said, was it Lin Tian who left just now? Lin Tian's clear brown eyes were still vividly remembered. Yes, he is the most powerful protector of the Earth, and at the same time the most powerful existence in the universe. Whether it is for me or for the Earth, the God of War is extremely important. I have to find him. Doctor Strange said word by word, seriously. Lin Tian, is it the God of War? After hearing the focus of Doctor Strange's words, everyone froze, and their faces were full of disbelief. How could Lin Tian, who was completely like a rogue, be the most powerful guardian of the Earth? The same question arose in everyone's hearts. Snap. Vision also landed firmly on the ground, his eyes on Doctor Strange's chest. Doctor, this is the time gem on your chest, right? With the ability of the time gem, do you still need to find the God of War to be the guardian of the Earth? Vision asked. Doctor Strange slowly shook his head after hearing this. My master once had a battle with the unawakened God of War, but at that time, the God of War had an ability that was immune to all magical attacks. Even if my master used the ability of the time gem, he didn't take advantage in that battle. Doctor Strange said, with a bit of helplessness in his tone. He used to be an extremely conceited and even confident person like Tony, but when he came into contact with metaphysics and became a teacher, he realized how naive he used to be. After studying magic hard and inheriting the identity of the guardian of the original stone in Gu-Yi, Doctor Strange just regained some self-confidence and knew about Lin Tian's existence from Gu-Yi's mouth. It's like a player who has just left the novice village and meets a full level of plug-in players, and a sense of frustration appears in Doctor Strange's heart again. He can be sure that Lin Tian is definitely stronger than himself. Not even the ability to use the time gem yourself. Hiss, looks like we're in big trouble. Hearing Doctor Strange's words, Ant-Man couldn't help but take a breath, remembering the way Lin Tian looked at him just now. Ant-Man was still a little afraid in his heart. A supreme mage who had used the time origin stone had failed to take advantage of Lin Tian, let alone these mortal bodies. What's more, Lin Tian now also possesses the mind gem. Ahem. The Black Panther not far away finally eased up under the power of the Four-Handed Overlord, stood up and coughed twice, covered his chest and stood up with difficulty. Just now, Lin Tian's punch not only injured his head, but even his internal organs were affected to a certain extent. If it weren't for this vibranium armor helping him absorb most of the damage, he might have died under the fist of the Four-Handed Overlord today. Black Panther's two coughs attracted the attention of Dr. Strange. Dr. Strange then discovered that several people present had obvious scars on their bodies, and the surrounding buildings were also greatly damaged. Well, with all due respect, where did the injuries on your bodies come from? Dr. Strange put away his serious expression, resumed the doctor's posture, and said curiously. Hawkeye raised his eyebrows after hearing this, and put the bow and arrow in his hand back into the arrow basket behind his back, without good air. Who else? God of War, Episode 40, God of War fought? Dr. Strange listened to it, obviously not expecting this result. How else? Hit by the air? Stark snorted, still a little emotional in his heart. Dr. Strange glanced at Stark, then put his hands on his chest, and the green magic of his fingernails flowed into the necklace on his chest. The infusion of magic seems to establish a certain connection with the necklace, and the necklace also emits green light accordingly. The hands slowly rotated, the necklace was opened layer by layer, and the green light dazzled. Immediately afterwards, a picture was transmitted by the time ref. The picture is exactly the scene before the rescreening. It began with Lin Tian appearing with the two women, to the beginning of the battle, and finally ended with Lin Tian leaving. This familiar picture is like a movie, passing in front of everyone one by one. What's so nice about this? Still, did you find something? After Black Widow discovers that the rescreening has begun, Dr. Strange's expression changes slightly. Because of her professional habits, Black Widow will eventually observe things much more carefully than the average person. Dr. Strange didn't speak, but the hands that controlled the time ref rotated counterclockwise, turned the screen backwards, and stopped at a certain moment. Goddess of Death, Hela. After pausing the picture, Dr. Strange lowered his hands, stared at the face of a woman on the screen, and said her name in a deep voice. What? Ant-Man frowned puzzled. Following Dr. Strange's gaze, although the woman on the picture looks outstanding, he does not see anything scrutinous. Steve clasped his hands over his shoulders and nodded, let him go on. Steve didn't know who Dr. Strange was talking about, but judging from Dr. Strange's tone, the woman with long hair and shawl should not be ordinary. After Dr. Strange arrived, he did not show malice towards them, at least Steve still has some trust in Dr. Strange. Even if what he said wasn't necessarily right, Steve had his own thoughts and judgments. Hela, the goddess of death, Odin's first child, helped Odin conquer the 9 realms. Hela gradually became brutal in the continuous conquest, and finally Odin had no choice but to seal Hela. Not long ago, Odin died, and Hela also lifted the seal and regained her freedom. Dr. Strange explained carefully. Oh yes. To add, Ultron, the father of your friend with the hammer, the family affairs he went back to deal with were about the goddess of death returning to Asgard to claim the throne. After the explanation, Dr. Strange quickly added as if he suddenly thought of something. Why didn't Odin just kill her? Wouldn't that save a lot of trouble? Hawkeye asked, puzzled. Dr. Strange shook his head. The reason is simple, Odin can't kill Hela, so to put it simply, this goddess of death became Lin Tian's girlfriend. Black Widow listened and took a step forward and came to the final conclusion. Then why did the two of them come together? Ant-Man has a bit of a feeling in the clouds. According to the Dr. Strange in front of him, isn't Hela a brutal murderer who doesn't blink? So how did she get together and be together with this Oriental teenager? Ant-Man's question seemed to ask the hearts of everyone present, and for a while, everyone's curious eyes were on Dr. Strange. Lin Tian killed her and resurrected her again. Dr. Strange said slowly. Every word of this sentence exploded in the hearts of everyone like a thunderclap. Lin Tian killed Hela? Resurrected her again? Hela, who was as powerful as Odin and could only be sealed, was killed by Lin Tian? Also resurrected? For a while, everyone seemed to be petrified, stunned in place, and did not react. For them, the concept of God is too large, and they do not know what a real God is. But after hearing Thor's description of his father Odin, they took Odin as an omnipotent god in their hearts. And what they didn't think God did, Lin Tian did. It turned out that Lin Tian's purpose in sneaking into the Avengers building and driving away the Kuan-type fighter was to go to Asgard to kill Hela. Suddenly, everyone was violently agitated, and their backs were a little cold. If Lin Tian directly commanded Hela to fight them, they might all have to account for it here today, right? At this moment, in another gray office, Nick clasped his hands together, propped his arms on the desktop, and stared intently at Lin Tian on the screen in front of him. After a moment of contemplation, Nick lowered his hands and let out a long breath. I have a hunch that he will definitely be an important foreshadowing, and in the future, he will definitely play a very important role. We still have to send someone to contact him and find out what he thinks. Nick said to himself. So, who is the right person to send? A short-haired woman standing straight behind Nick with her hands behind her back asked. Nick glanced at the woman, shook his head, and looked at Lin Tian's photo again. As a former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick is first class in terms of combat experience and negotiation experience, but he has already exposed and caused Lin Tian's dissatisfaction, and if he goes again, it will only backfire. Suddenly, Nick turned around and looked at the short-haired woman with a sly smile. Hill, have you had time lately?